How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Steins Gate Zero. In the last episode, we got some new dialogue. We did get a flashback that we've seen before with Suzuha and Kagari, but after the flashback, we saw that Suzuha and Daru were talking with Maho. So there is a very big difference from the bad route. Maho's not brainwashed by Dr. Leskinen and Reyes, and she's not in Japan, which... yeah, those are some good things, but apparently Maho needs to get to Japan. Apparently the three of them are working behind Okabe's back, making the time leap machine, and I don't know what their objective is exactly. I was kind of zoning out in the last episode because I was so tired, but yeah, let's read on and let's see what's going on. They relaxed for a moment after turning off the video chat. Suzuha thought back to the time before she'd become a time traveler. She did this every time she got off the video chat with Maho.
タイムマシン開発の協力者、比谷城真帆か。
It was after Maho had gone back to America that she'd volunteered to help Suzuha and Itaru with the time machine. That meant that when Itaru Hashida completed the time machine 25 years from now, Maho Hyajo must have contributed in some way. But...
あんまり未来のことを言うのはまずいんだけど、父さんの仲間にそんな名前の人いなかったんだよね。
え、そうなん？
ということはさ、どこかのタイミングで開発メンバーから抜けるってことなんじゃないかな。自分の意思なのか、それ以外の外的要因なのかはわからないけど、少なくとも開発の主要メンバーじゃなかったと思う。
そうなのか。かなり頼もしい人だけどな。
こんなことを言いたくはないけど、どこかのスパイという可能性もある。
いくらなんでも真帆たんに限ってそれはないよ。
ごめん。でもそういう可能性もあるっていうことだけは頭に入れておいて。言ったでしょ、第3次世界大戦前の情報戦はもう始まってるんだ。どっちにしろマシンの秘密が無駄に漏れるのは困るよ。それだけは徹底するようちゃんと注意しておいてよね。で、この先のタイムマシン開発はどう進めていくつもり？
やっぱオカリンの協力がないとな。
結局そこなんだよね。オカリンおじさん、やっぱり無理なのかな。こうなったら力ずくで。
前にそれしようとして失敗したのはどこの誰だっけ
Suzuha pursed her lips. Even with a gun in his face, Okabe Rintaro still wouldn't get in the time machine. To be honest, Suzuha was out of options. She stifled a sigh. It didn't do any good to let herself get down.
そういえば、母さんとはうまくやれてる？
な？
私、そっちの方も心配なんだ。大丈夫？私が生まれてこなくなるような事態にならないよね。
なんつうの？タイムマシンよりもなんだい？
Yeah, we did a massive shift here.
ちょっと。
Suzuha stormed over to Itaru.
困るよ、父さん。
パパ、頑張るからね。
いっつも口ばっかり。結局、例の映画のチケットも無駄にしちゃったんでしょ？
She meant the pair of movie tickets that Mayuri and Fedes had conspired to give them at the Christmas party.
あれはさ、オカリンと吹雪氏が倒れちゃったじゃん。その後、お見舞いとかでバタバタしてるうちに映画が終わっちゃってたわけで、しょうがないっつうか。
でもその後、新しいチケットを用意しようとしたら断ったって聞いたけど。
誰に？
まゆ姉さんとルミ姉さんに決まってるじゃないか。
そりゃあれだマユシとフェイリスタンに頼りきりなんて男らしくないっしょ。キリ
で自分で何か行動に移したわけ？ダメだこれ。
Maybe this was a more important problem than the time machine. Suzuha brought her hands up to her head.
いい父さん。私いつまでもこうやってお説教できないんだからね。もうすぐ行っちゃうんだよ。
Suddenly there was a sad look in Itaru's eyes.
そういう顔しない。約束したはずだよ。もう迷うのはやめにしようって。
For the past 6 months, Suzuha had been thinking about whether it was really right to erase this world. But in the end, it was none other than Itaru who pushed her to go ahead.
ごめん。
She couldn't bear to see her father so depressed, so she patted his broad back.
しょぼくれてないで母さんにメールして。予定の空いてる日がないか聞いて。で空いてたら映画に誘う。
いきなりハードル高すぎ。
高すぎでも何でもいいから誘いなさい。いい？これは命令だからね。
命令って。
返事は？
さあ、イエスさあ。
Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower.
でもその前にちょっとだけコンビニに行ってくる。
何しに？
いや実は夕食がまだっつうか、今夜も徹夜になりそうだし、遅くならないうちに買い出しようと。
That was confusing. I know I kind of just went by it because I'm, by habit. But she spoke. She said something, but there were just 3 periods, the ellipses. There wasn't anything said. What is wrong with this game and its translation errors? Still hunched over, he pointed towards the development room. He was pointing at the phone wave named subject to change Unit 02 that was put together but still undergoing testing.
睨まないで。なるべく太らないようなものを食べますんで、何卒お許しを。
バニラ。
はい。
私シャワー出たらアイス食べたい。バニラ。
わかった。庶民がなかなか口にできない高級なやつをいっぱい買ってきてあげる。
いっぱいはいらないよ。一つでいい。
さあ、イエス。
That was enough to cheer Daru up. He took his wallet and ran out of the lab.
やれやれ。世話がかかるんだから。
She had just about taken off her jacket so she could take that shower, but...
Suzuha!
Itaru had come back into the lab.
どうかした？
階段のところにさ、こんなの落ちてたんだよね。
Itaru showed her a keychain he was holding. It was a round anime character whose color had faded to a smoky green. It was an Upa.
誰のかわかる？
まゆ姉さんじゃないの？
She leaned forward to take a closer look, and then felt like she was experiencing déjà vu.
このウーパー、どこかで。
She'd seen it before? She couldn't really remember when, but her internal alarms were going off. This keychain was extremely important. Oh, it is. It really is. Upas were common enough that you could find them anywhere. The plastic edges had worn down, the paint was faded and coming off in places. But there was no dust, and there were no stains. Instead, it shone brightly, as if its owner had put a lot of effort into taking good care of it. The keychain, or the chain, was so old that part of it had snapped off. That was probably how it got dropped.
どこだっただろう。どこかで見た。
マユシに見せてもらったとか？
そうなのかな。
She stared at the green Upa in Itaru's hands, and then in her mind she heard a young girl scream. Yeah.
ママがずっと大切にしてきたウーパのキーホルダーだよ。かがりちゃんにあげる。大事にしてね。
She gasped. A feeling of indescribable terror raced down her spine.
まさかこれかがりのか。
Oh, but it is. That was when she'd last seen it. August 13th, 2036. The day she'd gone into the time machine. That's when she'd seen this Upa. It was older and more worn now, but the more she remembered that day, the more certain she became. This was the Upa that Mayuri had given to Kaguri. She'd seen Kaguri holding it and crying to herself many times before.
かがりってもしかして未来のマユシの娘？
うん。
見つかったん？
いや、でも向こうはこっちを認識しているんだ。
つまりどういうことだってばよ。
あいつこのラボを監視してるんだよ。
Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower. Ever since then, her careful efforts to defend the time machine had paid off, and she hadn't seen any sign of Kaguri, but she never thought she'd be watching the lab.
いや、ちょっと考えれば当たり前のことだったんだ。あいつは私たちがシュタインズゲートに到達するのを阻止しようとしてる。この世界をなかったことにしたくないと思ってる。ということは私だけじゃなく父さんもマークされてる。
え？僕？
まあ父さんの命に危険はないとは思うんだ。世界線の摂理を信じるなら父さんは少なくとも2036年までは生きるはずだし、ただシュタインズゲート到達を阻止するために父さんの研究の邪魔はしてくるかもしれない。
A lot of bad things had been happening around Suzuha, Itaru, and Okabe Rintaro. There was some possibility that the final target was Itaru.
これからは用心のために私がいない時には必ずドアに鍵をかけておいて。
わかったお。
オカリンおじさんや母さんやマユ姉さんたちが一緒にいても絶対に開けっぱなしはダメだよ。気休めかもしれないけどドアチェーンもかけた方がいい。
でもさ、オカリンやマユシならともかくアマネシと二人きりの時にそんなことしたらなんか別の意味で怪しくね？アマネシに変な誤解されないかな？
あ、それは確かに。
もしそれで嫌われでもしたら我が家のピンチだお。
Suzuha groaned softly, unsure of what to do.
父さんがもっと早く母さんと恋人になってれば何の問題もないのに。
で、結局そこへ話が戻るとか？
とにかく注意だけはしておいてよね。
Suzuha decided to keep the green Upa keychain. She softly ran her fingertips over it as she stared at it.
なあ鈴葉、かがりたんって血はつながってないけどマユシの娘なんだよね。
そうだよ。
あのマユシに育ててもらった子が人を襲うような恐ろしい人間になるのかな。なんか鈴葉の話とイメージが重ならないっつうか、もっと優しくてホワホワしてて可愛い女の子になってるんじゃないかなとか思ったり。
だとよかったんだけど。私も前はそうなると信じてたけど、今のかがりは多分。
From what she'd seen at the radio building, she could tell Kaguri had definitely received professional combat training. It wasn't just the simple self-defense techniques that she'd learned from Suzuha when she was a child. As she'd grown up, she'd been taught the cold techniques of a killer. There was no way to know where she'd been or what she'd been doing ever since she'd gone missing in 1998. But there was no doubt in Suzuha's mind that she was trying to ruin her plans. Yep. Suzuha sighed as she took her shower. Since it was summer, she'd set the water temperature low. It was barely any hotter than tap water. As long as the water was pouring down on her, she could feel like all the bad memories were being washed away. She slapped her cheeks with both hands and turned off the water. The small tiled room suddenly became quiet. In the silence, she vigorously toweled off her hair. This building was never intended for anyone to live in. Not only was there a little room, there wasn't even a place to change. It was small, and there were no windows, and the steam from the shower room built up, making it an unpleasant sauna in the summer. Supposedly, Itoru and Okabe would sit naked next to the fans to get away from the heat and moisture. Of course, that was only when the girls, as well as Luka Orishibata, weren't around. But Suzuha couldn't do that. There were those huge scars on her chest. If she was careless and Yuki saw them, she'd have a big problem. So she always forced herself to change within this small space. Time for this lovely scene. The second she left the shower room, she realized something was wrong. The lights were off in the part behind the curtain where the lab room was. She was sure she had left all the lab lights on when she'd gone to take a shower. She didn't remember turning them off. Still completely naked, she flung open the curtain. She dropped to the floor, ready to move. She could tell by the light from the shower room that there was no one else there. She didn't hear any breathing, and she didn't feel any other presence.
父さんが一度戻ってきたのか。
And then when he'd left, he'd turn off the lights? No, that couldn't be right. She looked around the room and saw that things had been moved in a way that an amateur wouldn't be able to notice. Itoru's computer desk, the sofa area, the bookshelves, even the mini kitchen, someone had gone through them all. From the look of it, the same was probably true of the development room. Suzuha glanced over all the areas where she kept her guns. The closest was the sofa that she used as a bed. She wanted to have one easily available if she were attacked while she slept, so she had cut out the back of... she had cut out one of the sofa cushions and hid a suppressed semi-automatic pistol in it. Again, more mistakes. Hidden a suppressed... Okay, you know what? Maybe that could have worked. It was just a .32 caliber for self-defense, so it wouldn't do much damage unless you had good aim. But it was small and relatively quiet, which made it the best choice for a place like this. Suzuha tensed all of her muscles, coiling like a spring, and slowly moved towards the sofa without making a sound. As she did, she tried to notice any changes in the surrounding area. There was a small sound in the development room. It was a tiny, tiny creaking of the floor, to which you'd usually pay no mind. But that was more than enough for Suzuha. In an instant, she moved from quiet to action. She cleared the distance to the sofa in a single moment and quickly drew her gun. She held it ready and slipped into the shadow of the refrigerator. From this position, she could barely see into the development room. And that is Kagedi. We know that for sure. 100% has to be Kagedi at this point. The room became silent again. But this time the intruder in the other room didn't try to hide their presence.
おかしな真似をしたら撃つ。手を頭の上に。そのままゆっくり出てこい。
Suzuha threatened the intruder in a low voice, but the intruder seemed completely unconcerned as they exposed themselves to Suzuha's gaze. We know who you are.
この暑いのによくそんな格好をしていられるな。ヘルメットだけでも取ったらどうだ？
The intruder was wearing a motorcycle suit, just like before. Even the helmet was the same. The leather suit clung tight to their skin, revealing a voluptuous and perfectly proportioned body. It was clearly a woman.
あんたが探してるものだけどね。そこにはないよ。私の服のポケットだ。
Suzuha pointed toward the entrance into the shower room. The shirt she'd just taken off was lying there on the floor. The girl in the motorcycle suit turned her head, but because the face mask was down, Suzuha couldn't read her expression.
なあ、落としたらダメじゃないか。ママからもらった大切なものだろ。Kagari.
Yeah, we definitely know it's her. This is all stuff that we've read through or gone through on the bad route. I'm fine with rereading all of this again, because who knows? Maybe someone's coming here and they didn't want to see anything from the bad route. I don't blame them. The second she spoke, Kagiri Shino was the first to move. She drew a deglossed military knife that she must have been hiding behind her back and closed the gap between herself and Suzuha in an instant. Suzuha pointed the gun at her legs and pulled the trigger, carefully aiming away from her vitals. She heard the small pop of a suppressed 32 and saw Kagiri lose her balance and fall. Or she thought she did, but it was a feint. She'd only pretended to lose her balance. In fact, she changed directions and was heading for the shower room. It seemed her first goal was to get what she'd come for. After firing only one shot, Suzuha realized even a 32 should have more recoil than this. Excuse me. She fired again, but Kagiri didn't flinch even for a moment. At some point, all the bullets in Suzuha's gun had been swapped with blanks. That instant's panic was all it took. Kagiri reached out for the shirt on the floor in front of the shower room. Suzuha gave up on firing and flung the gun at Kagiri. Damn. There was a dull thud as the hard barrel slammed into her neck. Caught off balance, she staggered before she could grab the shirt. She could hear Kagiri's voice for the first time from within the helmet. Suzuha jumped. She kicked the off-balance Kagiri as hard as she could with her toned, muscled legs. This was no time to hold back. God damn! Kagiri went flying all the way to the edge of the room. That had to have broken a few ribs. Suzuha jumped toward her to continue her attack. But with terrifying speed, Kagiri leapt off the ground and charged at Suzuha. There wasn't enough time to come to a full stop. A sharp blade swept by, mere centimeters from her exposed abdomen. If she'd pulled back even a few tenths of a second later, the knife would have fatally sliced open her gut. Yeah, you tell her. The blood rushed to Suzuha's head. Kagari was serious. She was planning to kill her. There was no hesitation in her movements. Suzuha leaped back and searched for something she could use as a weapon. But the other guns were probably no different. There was a good chance they'd all had their ammo swapped with blanks too. It was even possible that all her self-defense knives had been taken too. Which left... There were several knives carefully stored in the kitchen. Yuki had brought them over to use in teaching the other girls how to cook. But Kagari had evidently noticed them as well, and she was moving to keep Suzuha from reaching them.
へえ、ずいぶん離れしてるじゃないか。とてもマシンの中でベソベソ泣いてた子供とは思えないな。驚いたよ。
Suzuha kept her distance from Kagari as she slowly moved along the wall. Her competitive drive burned even brighter as she tried to come up with a way to overcome her disadvantage.
ほら、カガリ、これだろ。
She picked up her shirt from in front of the shower room and took the green keychain out of its pockets. I better come in here and risk my identity and life and mission to get this fucking trinket. I really hate Kagari. She's a terrible character, honestly. Her fingers moved as if to crush it. Yeah, please do. She could see Kagari twitch. For the first time, she could detect a hint of emotion beyond the helmet. And in an instant, she threw it at Kagari's stomach. The keychain flew in a slow arc, like she was tossing it to a friend. If something they loved was thrown like that, even the fiercest warrior would instinctively reach out both hands to grab it. Kagari was no exception. She carefully held her mother's memento in both her empty left hand and the right hand that still clutched the knife. Using the slow arc of the keychain as camouflage, Suzuha ran at her in a straight line. Yeah, kick her ass. Her right fist connected hard with Kagari's stomach. Then her left arm smashed Kagari's head to the side. Kagari's body fell to the ground, her right shoulder taking the brunt of the fall. Suzuha could hear the sound of her joint dislocating. The knife slipped from her grasp. Suzuha got behind her and mounted her, twisting her right arm mercilessly. At the same time, she slipped her own left arm around Kagari's neck and squeezed hard. If you guys are wondering why I'm not really reacting to this, it's because we've gone through the bad rat already. This all happened. I've seen this. She could hear something like a moan from Kagari's throat. She could both hear and feel the bones in her arm and neck creaking.
おとなしくしろ。殺しはしない。
But Kagari picked up the knife on the floor with her left hand and once again tried to use it on Suzuha. Suzuha was forced to squeeze her arm and neck even harder.
もうやめろ、カガリ。今の私にはお前の気持ちだってわかるんだ。でもやっぱりそれは間違ってる。間違ってるんだ。
But Kagari didn't stop. If anything, she tried even harder to pull Suzuha away.
こいつ、一体どんな訓練を受けてきたんだ。
Even in all the battles she'd been in, this much pressure on two different spots was enough to get even the toughest soldier to submit or fall unconscious. Terrified, Suzuha squeezed even harder. At this rate, she wouldn't simply knock her out. She really would kill Kagari. But if she stopped, Kagari would kill her. What should she do? Yeah, just kill her. Fuck it. And then she heard a sad, weak voice from inside the helmet. It startled her, and she relaxed both her arms. But that was just what Kagari had hoped for. The knife came very close to cutting Suzuha's left arm. When she let go to dodge it, Kagedi shook her off and kicked at her hips with both legs. Suzuha was slammed back hard into the computer desk, and for a moment she couldn't breathe. She fell to the floor, and the printer and monitor crashed mercilessly into her naked body. Me too, dog. Yep. She forced herself to stand up, gasping hard as she did so. Kagedi's breathing was heavy, too. Her right arm was pointed at an impossible direction and hanging limp. She wouldn't be able to use it for a while, probably. But her left arm was still holding the knife.
お前、随分と汚い真似まで覚えたんだな。
Suzuha glared at Kagedi's face, not that she could see what it looked like behind the helmet. No response from her. Just the typical silence. The two of them fell silent as they tried to catch their breath. The tension in the air was so thick that it was difficult to move a muscle. Sweat rolled down her forehead and into her eyes, but she still didn't blink as she waited for Kagedi to make her next move. It was the sound of the front door opening that broke their stalemate.
おい、鈴葉、今すごい音しなかった？
Suzuha felt a chill round down her spine, excuse me, when she heard Itaru's voice.
あれ？なんで真っ暗なん？
ダメだ、父さん！来ちゃダメ！
Bright light. She yelled at the exact same instant he turned on the lights. The sudden brightness was enough to make Suzuha flinch for an instant. Kagedi was wearing a full-face helmet, and that made all the difference. She leapt towards Itaru just a moment before Suzuha. Kagedi's black knife went up to his throat. Kagedi spun around behind him, using Itaru's huge body as a shield. Suzuha staggered toward him, gritting her teeth.
その手を離せ、Kagedi.
And silence.
父さんに傷一つでも負わせてみろ。たとえお前でも本当に殺す。
Silence again. Alright. That's cool. But Kagedi remained silent as she headed outside the door with her hostage. And then in the next moment, she shoved him forward. God damn. Itaru lost his balance and fell towards Suzuha. Suzuha fell to the ground underneath his weight. Itaru just barely managed to support himself with his arms and legs to keep from crushing her. Suzuha tried to shove him off, using a little more force than she may have intended. But Itaru was so huge it would take him a moment to get up. She was getting away. She somehow managed to crawl out from under him and quickly tried to follow after Kagedi. Itaru was still lying on the ground as he tossed the naked Suzuha her shirt. She grabbed it and quickly put it on, then ran outside. But we out of time on that. Or she ran out of time. She's out. But when she looked around the street, the girl in the motorcycle leathers wasn't there. There was no way to even know where she'd gone.
逃げられた。
It would be dangerous to run around trying to find her now. There was a chance Itaru would be attacked while she wasn't at the lab.
今のってまさかかがりたん?
Yep. Itaru came outside as well.
多分間違いない。
I'm 100% certain.
そっか。
局あの子とはこうなっちゃうんだな。
The bruises and wounds were bad enough, but the pain that ached in her heart was the worst of all.
私さ、あの子のこと本当に好きだったんだ。
I didn't.
うん。
And I don't.
小さくても勇敢で、まゆ姉さんを守るためにいつも頑張ってて。
You know, she's fine as a child, I get it, because, you know, it's Mayuri's daughter. Come on. But, no, just... Yeah, anyways, I'll stop complaining about her.
私もそんなあの子にいろいろなことを教えた。きっと妹みたいに思ってた。
うん。
けどあいつはもう完全に敵だ。
Itoru straightened up her shirt sleeves.
今の鈴葉、なんかエロゲーの地上キャラっぽい格好になってるよ。
God damn it.
え？お？
Suzuha was caught completely off guard. True, her t-shirt only came down just below her hips, roughly the length of a miniskirt. Her breasts were almost completely bared. The shirt's hem was turned up and she felt exposed.
まあ僕は地上物も結構いける口なんで、乱れた裸 T シャツというのもありといえばありですが、むふー。
またそうやってふざける。大怪我してたかもしれないのに。
But Itoru shook his head.
僕さっきはナイフ見て騒いじゃったけど、でも怖がる必要なかったんじゃないかなって。あれがもし僕の聞き間違いじゃなかったら。
Itoru rubbed the part of his neck where the knife blade was.
ナイフを突きつけられてた時、ほんの少しだけど聞こえたんだよ。
何が？
彼女、多分泣いてた。
え？
Crying? Under that helmet? After that whole battle with Suzuha? While holding a knife to Itoru's neck. But why?
だからさ、決めつけるのはまだ早いんじゃね？
父さん。
の？
アイス買ってきてくれた？バニラ。
ああ、もちろん。
食べたいな。私ちょっと疲れちゃった。
And then she excuse me, goddamn. And then she almost fell forward.
で、
Itoru managed to catch her before she hit the ground.
おい、鈴葉。
ごめん、平気。でも少しだけ休ませて。
See ya. That was all she had the energy to say. She closed her eyes in her dad's arms, and her consciousness melted away. That was fun reading all of that again. We're following Okabe. See what he's up to. I'll extend this episode a little bit because I don't feel really comfortable uploading pretty much something I've already uploaded before. This I was pretty much word for word and bit for bit quite a few episodes ago, like literally just the same thing. I probably want there to be a little bit more, maybe something different. Now that we're following Okabe again, maybe there'll be something different happening here. Let's see. When July came, the sun shone down even harder on eastern Japan. Summer was truly here. The news had been saying for days that the heat island effect might make this the hottest summer in years. And then on the first Sunday in July... Yes? The arrivals lobby at the international terminal of Narita Airport was filled with foreigners and Japanese passengers returning home.
すごい人だね。どんどん増えてるかも。
They're doing the same thing to Fetis that they did with Mayuri, I think. That's her Steins Gate model. It looks so out of place. Why did they do that? Come on.
日曜日の空港を侮ってたにゃ。
見逃すなよ、マユリ、フェリス。なんせ相手はとにかくちっちゃいからな。
Hey, look, a text. Who is it from? Oh, Lukako. Sorry, I can't go today. It's fine, no problem. You had something to do, it's alright. Having a lot of people around. We'll go with that. I hope I can see Maho before she leaves. I'll ask her how long she's staying and contact you later. Thank you. Oh, well, that was easy. The three of us were waiting for someone here. We'd been there almost an hour.
オカリン、今の問題発言は彼女に見つけざるを得にゃいぞ。
冗談だ、やめてくれ。
でもなかなか来ないね。やっぱりサプライズでこっそり出迎えようとしたのが間違いだったのかにゃ。
せめて何時の便で到着するのかぐらいは聞いておくべきだったな。
We hadn't told her that we were coming to greet her, and so all we knew was that she was arriving at Narita on an afternoon flight. If I'd known we were going to have to wait so long, I would have tried to get the arrival time out of her. There was a stream of passengers flowing by us, but no sign of the person we were waiting for. Just as I was starting to wonder if we'd missed her because she was so small, she finally appeared. More and more precisely, I saw a giant travel suitcase rolling by itself away from the gate. And from behind it, I heard a voice I recognized.
まったくもう、パスポートの偽造なんかしてないわ。何なのよ。毎回、どの国へ行ってもいちいち調べられて、時間がかかって仕方ないわ。
I walked up to the suitcase and gave it a pat.
いや、ジョーさん。
あ？
Maho had been leaning forward and pushing the suitcase as hard as she could. Her mouth hung open when she saw me.
久しぶり。無事入国できてよかったな。
あなた。
なんかずいぶんやつれてるな。大丈夫か？
大丈夫に決まって。ってそうじゃないわ。どうしてここに？
今日の昼に来るって話してただろ。だから驚かせようと思って迎えに来たんだ。
そうなの？それはどうも。
For some reason, her voice became really weird the moment she saw me. Was my being here really that much of a surprise?
でも秋葉原駅までは行けるから改札口に迎えに来てくれればいいって言っておいたのに。
まあいいじゃないか。せっかくだし。それに君一人で本当に秋葉まで来られるか心配だったから。
失礼ね。私はそんなに頼りなくないわ。
Mayuri and Fetis came up as well.
魔法さん。てってれー。てってれー。会いたかったにゃ。魔法にゃ。
As Mayuri grabbed Maho's hand, Fetis walked up and gave her a big hug.
マユリさんもフェイリスさんもお久しぶり。二人もわざわざ迎えに来てくれたのね。ありがとう。ちなみにこんな場所で大声でマホニャンと呼ぶのはやめてくれないかしら。にゃんでかわいいのに。周りを見なさい。みんなが笑っているでしょ。恥ずかしいのよ。にゃ、そ そうかにゃ。
Fidus really sticks out after all. While we'd been waiting here, all the foreigners had been pointing at her and yelling, "Cat ears, cat ears!" Some had even asked for pictures. And she probably went
ヤジ
for
ョ
it.
さん、荷物俺が持とう。
いえいえ、ありがとう。
でも結構急な来日だったよな。
It was only a few days ago that I'd found out that she was coming.
今回もレスキネン教授の手伝いなのか？
その
Maho was fidgeting and glancing up at me.
岡部さんはレスキネン教授とはよく連絡を取り合っているの？
ああ、教授ずっとこっちで研究を続けてるだろ。時々食事に誘ってもらったりしてるんだ。すごく光栄だよ。
そう。まずいわね。
まずい？何が？
こっちの話よ。
She really was acting weird. She wasn't like this when I saw her last winter. Was she tired from her trip? Or was seeing us here that much of a surprise?
今回は教授の手伝いではないの。沖縄の親類のところへ行く予定なのよ。でもせっかくだからその前に秋葉原にも寄ってみようかと思って。
そうか、沖縄か。
For a moment, the name of that place brought back visions of that nightmarish time. After I collapsed on Christmas, I was sent to another world line where I'd spent a month fleeing to Okinawa. What a fun time that was.
沖縄。一度でいいから行ってみたいな。マユシーの学校は修学旅行は沖縄じゃないのにゃ。マユシーのところはね、北海道だったよ。フェイリスはハワイにゃ。うわー、海外だ。アロハ。
You know, I went to Hawaii in Persona 5. What a fun time that was. Putting aside the girls and their talk of school trips,
じゃあヒアジョーさんは東京にはそんなにいられないのか。残念だな。
そうね、そういうことになるわね。秋葉原にいる間のホテルとかは決めてあるのかにゃ？まだよ。これから安いビジネスホテルでも探すつもり。だったらこのままフェイリスのお家に来るといいにゃ。この前のお部屋自由に使ってもらって構わないにゃ。でもそんなの悪いわ。またそうやって遠慮するんやから、フェイリスは大歓迎だにゃ。だけどそんなに甘えるわけには。だったらこれでどうかにゃ。お部屋を無償で貸し出す代わりにフェイリスのお店でほんのちょっとだけお手伝いしてもらうのにゃ。お店？
uh-oh.
メイクインニャンニャンだね。まさかそれってあの猫耳のお店？
Yeah, the one and only.
この時期は猫耳メイドのみんなはコミマの準備でいろいろ忙しいのにゃ。お休み取りたいって泣きついてくるんだにゃ。つまり深刻な猫耳メイド不足なのにゃ。なのにゃ。というわけでマフにゃん、どうかにゃ。どうかにゃ。お断りします。なんでって当たり前でしょ。私に似合うわけないわ。似合うよ。絶対に可愛いと思うな、マユシーは。意義なしだにゃ。オカリンもそう思うにゃ。
ああ、きっとファンがつくんじゃないか。
ファンなんてそんな、お世辞は嫌いよ。
別にお世辞じゃないんだけどな。
だとしたら視力検査にでも行ってくることね。にゃにゃ、赤くなったにゃ。なってません。マホニャンはもっと自分の魅力に気づくべきだと思うにゃ。マユシーが男の子だったらキュンってしちゃうのです。だからそんなことないと言ってるのに。
ヒアジョーさんは多分もうちょっとなんというかおしゃれとかしてみたらいいんじゃないかな。そうすればもっとこう。
Uh-oh. I feel like we're going into dangerous territory. I was trying my best to sound encouraging, but just ended up sounding like a real jerk. Of course she was annoyed.
私は今のままで十分よ。研究が第一なんだから。でもそれじゃあ好きな人とかできたらどうするのにゃ。相手に気持ちを伝えられなくて困っちゃうにゃ。大丈夫よ。そういう人なんてできないと思うから困ったりしないわ。
She gave a sigh that was a little too deliberate.
ごめんなさい。時差ボケと飛行機の疲れでちょっと。わかるにゃ。時差ボケって結構辛いんだにゃ。リムジンを用意してあるからマフニャンは眠っていくといいにゃ。リムジン？
Fedis had rented a white limo to pick up Maho. Sheesh, she really did go overboard. But thanks to that, Mayuri and I were able to enjoy its big comfy seats on the way to Narita Airport.
なんならフェリスが膝枕してあげるにゃ。それともマユシーの膝がいいかにゃ。マユシーはオッケーだよ。結構よ。子供じゃあるまいし。
でも傍目から見てもだいぶ疲れてるってわかるな。そんなに研究が忙しいのか。
それはまあ掛け持ちしているわけだから。
掛け持ちというとアマデウス以外にも何かやっているのか。
She quickly put her hand over her mouth.
それは企業秘密なの。
そうか、それは悪かった。
It was true that American university labs had a lot of stuff like that going on there. I'd heard there were a lot of industrial spies, If she wasn't careful about what she said, she might get fired, or worse. It was a mistake on my part to even ask.
そういえば橋田さんは今日はどうしたの？
あいつなら今日は人生をかけた大事な用があってな。
人生をかけた？ダル君は今デート中なんだよ。
Hell yes. Maho's shock was almost comical.
私本当に疲れているのね。ひどい現状を聞いたわ。
いや、そう思うのも無理ないが。
本当にデートなのです。信じられない。嘘でしょ。あの変態が。
Yeah. Even Maho was calling him a pervert. Daru had said he was talking to Maho a lot too, and I could just imagine what their conversations were like. But actually, if Daru didn't do his best today, it would ruin the world's entire chain of casualty. In that sense, Daru's date today was an event with universe-spanning implications. Or something to that degree. And now I think we're going to have more of the dialogue that we've seen before. So we'll say that for next time. Oh, I think this is the last bit of dialogue that we'll be seeing that was in the bad route, and then I think we'll sort of be on par. We'll see a lot more different things, how this goes into a different direction, hopefully. So thank you for watching this one, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave us a like and subscribe. I almost said leave a subscribe. That's not right. Sorry, it's late again. I don't know why I keep doing this. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, I already said, what the fuck am I doing? Oh my god, I am tired. I'm so sorry, guys. Alright, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.